and welcome again for a daily ASMR session. Well, today let's have a look over the most deadliest viruses in our history. Viruses that have caused devastating pandemics and epidemics in human history. I have done my homework and I collected here very interesting information about each. And I'm very eager to share it with you, of course. First, let's start with dengue virus. Dengue virus. Dengue viruses, it's provoking dengue fever. The mortality rate is just 1% with treatment, but without treatment can be more than 25%. The impact is dengue virus infects millions of people annually, particularly in tropical and subtropical regions, and causing thousands of deaths. It is transmitted through by mosquitoes and causes high fever, severe headache, and pain behind eyes. Dengue virus. Number 9. So I have here a list of 10 viruses with each detailed mortality rate, disease that it's provoking, and impact, and so on. So the dengue virus was on number 10, and on position 9 it's hantavirus. Hantavirus. Well, the disease that is provoking is hantavirus pulmonary syndromes, or HPS. The mortality rate is 38% in United States. The impact, well, these infections are quite rare, but they're deadly, with significant outbreaks in United States that occurred in 1993. How it's transmitted? Well, hantavirus is transmitted by rodents. And the symptoms are severe respiratory distress, fever, and muscle pain. There is no specific treatment, and the disease can progress rapidly. So it's quite a dangerous virus, even if it's rare. Right, so hantavirus, very interesting. Wow. I didn't know about this virus, by the way, so. Next one on position 8, it's, wow, everybody has heard at least once about rabies. Rabies virus. And the disease is rabies, or rabies. Mortality rate is 100% once the symptoms appear. 100% once the symptoms appear. The The impact. Rabies can cause tens of thousands of deaths annually, especially in Asia and Africa. Rabies is a preventable viral disease transmitted through the saliva of infected animals, usually via bites. Dog bites, cat bites, and other animal bites, even rodents. But once the symptoms appear, rabies is fatal in 19.99%, causing encephalitis and death within a week. So that's why it's demanding that after you suffer the bite from an animal, dog, cat, which is not vaccinated and rabies, you should seek for medical treatment right away, because rabies can be prevented via a vaccine. Right. Next. So this is in position 8. So let's see. Next it's position 7. Marburg virus. Well, sounds weird. Marburg virus. This virus is causing the so-called disease Marburg disease or MVD. The mortality rate is between 24% and 88%, depending on the outbreak. Marburg virus, it's related to Ebola and cause similar hemorrhagic fever. Outbreaks have occurred in Africa with the highest fatality rates ever registered. The virus is transmitted through contact with bodily fluids or tissue of infected individuals. The symptoms are fever, vomiting, muscle pain, and death through the internal bleeding of the organs. Yes, Marburg virus, which is like Ebola. So this is close related to Ebola. Right. Well, there are just a few cases reported of Ebola in the past few years. And one, I think, was in Israel, maybe, but it was one person that traveled in Africa and took the virus somehow. I don't know if that person survived, but in a timeline of 20 years, I heard about 1 or 2 cases of Ebola in Europe. Right. Next, it's on position 6. SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. So, it's the COVID-19 disease. Mortality rate, it's only 1 to 3%, varying from regions to another depending on the healthcare access. The impact, as in now, in September 2024, COVID-19 has caused 6.9 million deaths worldwide. this virus, it's spreading rapidly across the globe. So it spread rapidly in the late 2019, so everybody knows that. Caused a global pandemic. The primary effects is that this virus is affecting the respiratory system, but can lead to severe complications to other organs. The most affected are the elderly ones and with those with poor health conditions. So this is the most recent, and I think it's the most famous virus that anybody heard about. The COVID-19 on position 6. Well, on position 5, it's Ebola virus, which is a different, it's a little different than the Marburg virus. The disease of Ebola virus is the AVD, Ebola virus disease. Well, the mortality rate is between 25 and 90%. The 2014 and 2016 West Africa Ebola outbreak killed 11,000 people. Ebola is a highly virulent virus causing severe hemorrhagic fever, vomiting, diarrhea, and often death. Transmissions occurs with direct contact with body fluids, like saliva for example. The high mortality rate makes this virus one of the most feared viruses. In Africa, mostly, there is no vaccine. Right. Next, position 4. Wow. Yersinia pestis, this is the name. Yersinia pestis, which is causing plague, or bubonic plague. The popular name of bubonic plague is Black Death. The mortality rate is between 30% and 60% of the infected. Well, in history, the Black Death, it's estimating that killed between 75 and 200 million people in Europe and Asia. The largest outbreak was between 1347 and 1351. Well, across Europe in the history of Europe there were several outbreaks, but the largest one was between 1347 and 1351. Back then there were no vaccines, so that's why it killed between 75 and 200 million people. The details of this virus is that it's caused by a bacteria transmitted by fleas. The plague caused fever, chills, and swollen lymph nodes, so it's caused by flies. The rapid spread and high fatality rate decimated populations across Europe and Asia. Right now, in Europe it's eradicated, and there are vaccines against the bubonic plague. Next, it's on position 3, it's another very famous, let's say, virus, very known. It's HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. Well, the disease is that is provoking it's the AIDS disease. The mortality rate is 100%. Well, since its discovery in 1980, HIV/AIDS has killed more than 36 million people worldwide. Well, HIV, like its name, it's attacking the immune system, which is not responding to diseases and infections, leading to a life-threatening opportunistic infections. While there is no cure, there are therapies that can manage the disease to prolong the life. HIV, right. The next virus on place number 2. It's influenza or Spanish flu, H1N1 influenza. The disease is the Spanish flu or 1918 influenza pandemic. Well, the mortality rate is estimated between 2 and 10%. The impact of this virus, the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, infected about 1/3 of the world's population and killed estimated 50 million people. Well, I heard that it's killed more than 200 million people. I don't know if it's this statistic is accurate. The rumors were about 200 million people because back then there were no vaccines. And I know that this virus, the influenza virus, what I read about, it's that it killed more than the First World War and World War II combined. Well, okay, let's stick to the details. This H1N1 influenza strain spread rapidly across the globe back then, exacerbated by the conditions of the World War I ending. Unlike typical flu, affected the young adults, causing severe respiratory symptoms and rapid deterioration, leading to death in a couple of days. Influenza virus. And we arrive to the leading virus, or at position number 1, which is the Variola virus, smallpox. Smallpox. Well, the smallpox mortality rate, it's up to 30%. Alright, and now the stats. Smallpox, it is and was responsible for an estimated of 300 to 500 million deaths in 20th century alone before was eradicated. Yes, the virus was eradicated, but it is responsible for 300 to 500 million deaths. Smallpox or Variola virus caused high fever, characteristic pustular skin rashes, and after left survivors with disfiguring scars. The virus was eradicated in 1980 following a successful global vaccination. Well, very scary at some point, right? And some of these viruses were eradicated, or some of their let's say, sealed in very limited areas around the globe, so they are not a big threat to humanity. But if we have a look in the history, these viruses have shaped the human history, and they caused widespread mortality. And with this widespread mortality, a lot of social and economic impacts they had. Well, thank God that the modern medicines has helped us to control and eradicate more of these viruses. But others, they're continuing to exist even in small doses and areas, or they have a latent status, but which can be threatening in the future if they are not kept under control. I hope you enjoyed this video. Very interesting. And if you like this video, and if you want to expose your impressions and opinions, please use the comment section below, because I want to know, of course, your opinion, right? Meanwhile, because we are at the end, of course, the most familiar outro, I wish you all the best, and until next time, will be tomorrow, of course, I wish you all the best. Bye bye.